I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Samantha once again. We're about to another review. This is the last of the paid requests for Guillermo. Thank you so much, Guillermo. I really appreciate it. For people who want to send in requests, either me to review a movie or movie topic or pretty much any type of video, you just send it directly to my PayPal. Or you can join me on my Patreon. Both links are down below. But this is for a film called Incident at Loch Ness, which is actually for free on YouTube. Came out in 2004. I thought this was a fun mockumentary. Yeah, fun like fake documentary where it uses a lot of real people playing themselves, but it also deals with the Loch Ness Monster. And pretty much you have this crew doing this documentary about the making of this film, where the director's going to be Werner Herzog. For those who don't know, this is a guy that narrated, it was in it for a little bit, that movie Grizzly Man, if you remember that. But Werner Herzog, he's famous for directing a lot of films with the crazy ass Klaus Kinski. There's that story about how he was making a film and one of the natives actually approached the director saying, hey, if we want, we could kill Klaus Kinski for you. And Werner Herzog had to say no. And then there's also the rumor that apparently he had to put a gun to Klaus Kinski to force him to do a scene, which Werner Herzog says, no, that doesn't happen. And actually another iteration of that kind of comes into play here, which is funny, because someone puts a gun to Werner Herzog. It's like, how do you like with a gun? And Werner Herzog's like, it's a flare gun. It's not even loaded. And the guy looks, is like, oh, shit. But this film, it's a fun movie. It's a fun take on a fate documentary because on one hand, it's Werner Herzog and this Hollywood writer played by Penn, who are both going to work on this movie on Loch Ness, or about, why people believe in these things. As someone says, just because it's fun to believe in things doesn't mean we should believe in them. That's actually said during a party where Jeff Goldblum makes an appearance in the film. He's not in it too much, sadly, but it's nice to see, oh, Jeff Goldblum. But Penn, he plays himself, and Penn is the guy who helped write Last Action Hero, X-Men 2, Suspect Zero. And a chunk of it is frictions between the two of them, where Werner Herzog is a filmmaker. He makes this as real as possible because he is known to do these adventurous films. Like he did a film, I can never pronounce it, Fitzcarraldo. It's a movie where about people having to pull this steamship over a real mountain. And in fact, they actually had to pull a steamship over a real mountain. So, film, reality was art and vice versa. But that's what I mean, like Werner Herzog was known to do these big adventurous movies, especially with Klaus Kinski. So it's friendship between him and Zach Penn, who wants to turn things to make it more Hollywood. For example, he hires a pretty sonar operator and makes them shoot a scene where, oh, she's in a bikini and she dives into the water. Or he hires a cryptozoologist who is pretty much an actor for comic relief. And Werner Herzog doesn't know this yet, because he thinks he's making a real documentary. Because he narrated stuff like Grizzly Man, so he thinks this is the case, but I thought that was fun, kind of the filmmaker versus the guy who wants to make things more Hollywood. I thought that was fun. And then in the second act, there happens to be a real Loch Ness Monster. And then by then you're supposed to think, okay, what is real, what is fake? But I thought it was fun. Like, obviously, when you watch films like this, you know it's a movie. You know it's fake, of course. Like, I'm not going to this thinking, oh, is this a real documentary? No. You know this going in. But it's still fun to have that escapism mentality and be like, okay, this happens to be a movie where they're filming something. And then the writer, or now he's a producer. He was a writer for those films I mentioned, Suspect Zero and such, but now it's his first time producing. And like he drops a fake Nessie. But then apparently the real Loch Ness is pissed off about that, so then starts going after them. And when I say starts going after them, it's not anything big, horror, adventurous type. It's much more subtle. So you're expecting big effects and action. That's not the case in this movie. But what was the thing? Oh, I like that they use certain real people behind the scenes, so you get some fun dialogue. Like one guy who works on sound, he's like, because they're complaining about this boat's way too loud, and the guy goes, well, I worked on Drop Zone and we used a tow vessel and to pull the boat for certain scenes. And being a fan of movies and being a fan of the possibilities of the industry, I should say, because they don't always make the best movies, but I like the possibilities. It was fun to watch. It was entertaining to watch. And I like Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog's an interesting personality. A, he has a cool accent. B, I remember him from, again, all the stories I heard about him in Kolstinsky and the bits of him in Grizzly Man, which is a very interesting documentary. Check out Grizzly Man. Grizzly Man if you haven't seen it. Trust me. It's pretty crazy, and he narrates that, and he's in it for a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was a fun film that dealt with both independent versus Hollywood, as well as this little teeny monster movie in the third act. And plus, there's not a lot of movies about the Loch Ness Monster, if you think about it. I mean, think about all the films on Bigfoot. Loch Ness Monster, very small list. Very small list. So, maybe because a guy in a Bigfoot suit is much easier to shoot than being on the water and was supposed to be this big dinosaur thing. But yeah, there's not a lot of movies about the Loch Ness Monster, but this one I thought did at least in an interesting manner with the whole mockumentary format. And I don't want to give a whole lot away. I could say no, it doesn't end on the typical everyone dies, which was refreshing. I was actually fine with the ending of this. I think there were moments that made me smirk and chuckle. I just like the whole idea behind it. And like I said, I liked some of the personalities, in particular Werner Herzog. I liked him quite a bit in it. And like Zach Penn, he definitely played a guy you just hated by the end of it. Like, this fucking prick. Which I guess is he's the Hollywood producer. I'm like, hey, I like some of the films you wrote, like Suspect Zero and Last Action Hero, but by the end, that seems like on purpose. I think Zach Penn directed this. I believe that's Zach Penn directed this. Not a bad job. I thought this was a fun film, a pretty fun flick. But like I said, I don't want to give everything away. It's shot believable as a documentary because again, you got people who do this for a living. Like you have an actual sound guy and actual DP. The few bits you see of the monster is subtle in the water, and the effects of that are pretty decent for the little bits that you see. And I do think this case less is better than more, because the Loch Ness Monster is a tough thing to make believable unless you have a big budget. So the less is more approach worked in favor for this film. And like I said, there were moments that made me smirk because of, I did the whole bit where the fucking guy hired this pretty cute sonar operator. And then, oh, you get in the water and you just happen to be in bikini. That just made me think of when movies do that, like, remember Uwe Boll's Alone in the Dark, and who the fuck was that actress they cast as? I can't even fucking remember. That's how shitty Alone in the Dark is with Uwe Boll. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But they've done that a lot of movies where, yeah, she's pretty. It's like, I don't buy her as what the fuck. I didn't. The whole bit with the flare gun I thought was funny. I'm entertained by this. I thought there was a nice little surprise. So, at least that's just my opinion. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And it's on for free on YouTube for those interested. See you guys later. Bye-bye.